Hello, and welcome to another episode of Despite the Challenges, a show where we showcase people with an amazing abilities that those who have overcome their impeding circumstances. And not only they turn around their own lives, but they contribute to the lives of many others and inspire them. Today, we will be talking about a topic that has taken mainstream media's attention recently, a topic that is social issue that crosses the boundaries of race, religion, culture, socioeconomic backgrounds, age, and more. That's domestic violence. My guests today are the victims and the survivors of domestic abuse. Not only they overcome, but they are inspiring many others in their communities, and especially people in their communities at very young age, to make them aware of and taking their cause in the society as before, stop domestic violence before it starts. So I welcome my guests today, Vanessa Martin and Camille Shell.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for being at the show. Vanessa, you have been a survivor.
Yes, I have been a survivor of domestic violence. I was in a domestic violence relationship for like 15 years with my ex-husband. And I stayed in it for 10 years because of my children. But I finally found a way to get out. And today I thank God that I'm remarried to a wonderful man, and there's no more abuse. So, but domestic violence is something that is really going through our neighborhoods and our young women. And my friend Camille Simpson has just started a nonprofit organization, Freedom
Rings
House of Refuge for young women. She'll be talking about that as we go on into the show. But we're here just to say that we made it through and that there is hope for everyone.
There is a new life out there.
Yes, there is a new life after domestic violence.
And being a survivor myself, and I know it's a journey, and majority of us stay there because of our children, and that's a never-ending cycle, it seems at the moment. So, Camille, tell me a little bit about you and your organization, not-for-profit, Freedom Rings House of Refuge.
Yes, so the vision came about in 2009 for Freedom Rings House of Refuge, and it came about because my mother was actually a victim of domestic violence, and I witnessed that as a child growing up, and in that particular relationship, my sister and I were affected as well. So because of that, it makes me want to go out and want to educate the youth and bring awareness and try to prevent domestic violence before it actually starts. So we can go out and educate on healthy and unhealthy relationships and abusive relationships. I believe that our organization could be a benefit in the community and just help anyone that's impacted. So.
Yes.
That's great. That's a great cause. Yes. And I know we spoke earlier, and I have been to some of your events in the past, and just to see that what you are doing, and I really commend you for that. It takes a lot of courage. Yes. It takes a lot of courage to come out of that, and then when you come out of an abusive situation, there's another journey to go through what to do next.
Yes.
There's a lot of emotional baggage that comes with it, and if there are children, a mother has to take care, regardless of the financial responsibility. They are divided, but there's a lot of emotional abuse and a stigma that goes with it.
Yes.
Right? Tell me a little bit more about your personal story that you went through and what inspired you to do what you're doing now.
Yes. Well, it is my personal story, again, it stemmed from my mother, but as time went on in life, I've also experienced domestic violence as well. And I've also seen where I stayed in relationships a little bit longer than I should have. And because of that and the awareness that I have now from actually living through it, it compels me to want to help other individuals. I've stayed maybe because of the child. I stayed maybe because of paying, how will we pay the finances, the bills, for the wrong reasons. But when you're in it and you have an emotional connection to someone, you will love to think that it will work out.
Yes.
So
That's a false hope.
it's a false hope.
Yes.
And of course, you want to stay together for the children. You want to stay together, again, like I said, for the finances. But at the end of the day, you want your own happiness. And when you stay in that situation, it will be a repetitive cycle that will continue and continue. And at this point, I want to be one to break that cycle of what my mother went through and also what I'm going through or have went through. So again, I want to break the cycle. I want to go out there and help these teenagers become aware that they don't have to continue the cycle that they have seen their parents or family members or co-workers. They don't have to stay in that cycle. You have a choice and you have to make up your mind. And there's opportunities out there to help you in your decision making.
At the moment, at the time anyone is in that relationship, or false hope is that it would work out.
Yes.
I want to say it's hope, but I have been in that situation. It became a false hope.
Yes.
And the moment I realized that it's a false hope, that was a turning point in my life that I had to do something about it.
Right.
You know, so I'm sure that there must have been some moments in your life, Vanessa.
Oh, there have been many moments in my life, you know, I have two sons. And the turning point for me was the fact that they had to witness that turmoil in our household. So it brought me to my knees that I had to get out of it.
Yes.
Because, you know, it was just too emotional for them.
Yes.
And then they would feel bad for their mother. And as they got older, like I said, I have two sons. My youngest son never put his hand on a woman. My oldest son, who witnessed his father and I, had those tendencies.
Yes.
So him and I talked about it, and we did get him anger management because I think the cycle was going on. He saw his father, you know, doing that to me, so we thought it was okay.
Yes, accepted way.
Absolutely. But we got him into counseling, and hopefully we'll be able to, you know, break that.
Yes. But you took a very good step, you know, to break that.
Yes.
And it's never easy. And for any young mind to experience that, where we want them to grow to be good citizens, good fathers, good brothers, good people, and for them to witness abuse, unjust abuse, is not good.
It's never good. It's never good.
And I know, Camille, that you and I had talked, and you mentioned in your adolescence that you went through that no one should go through. The experiences were horrible, and which really must have been a difficult part to let go sometime.
Yes.
Right. And then being in an abusive relationship, and then the continued cycle of that.
Yes.
What were the turning points for you that where you said enough is enough?
Okay, so for me, in my current state, my current situation, enough became where you start seeing the manipulation. You start seeing the repetitive cycle of 1 minute you're happy, then the next minute you're not. 1 minute you're trying to make it work, the next minute you're not. And it's too much up and down. And you have children that are involved, and again, they're looking on. And even having a young child, they imitate so many things, so you don't really realize how much you're impacting your children. That's actually, if they don't see the physical, they may hear the arguing and the yelling, or just see mommy's down. And for your child to ask, at 2 years old, are you sad, mommy? Are you happy, mommy? That's impacted my child. So that's the turning point. I want the best for my children at the end of the day, and I don't want them to stay in an environment because we want mommy and daddy to stay together for the sake of children. You cannot stay together for that. That's not a reason. And if anything, it may hurt them more to stay together than separate and have a healthy relationship and co-parent.
I know it's a dilemma that where you want to stay together because of children, and you don't want children to be in a toxic environment either.
Right.
So it's in a very difficult
It really is.
situation and a choice
But
a
at the end of
parent
the
has to
day-
make.
Right.
At the end of the day, you do not want your kids in that kind of environment.
Yes.
Kids are like sponges. They
They
just
are.
soak up everything.
Yes.
You know, so
Yes, and like you said, for a 2-year-old to ask, "Mommy, are you okay? Are you happy?" And we don't know what their impressionable mind is
Right.
observing and sponge, like a sponge, taking in,
Right.
which may impact his growth.
Exactly.
Right.
yeah,
And,
So,
so true.
and another thing also being married, and when you take vows, you also take those into consideration, because you want to be married one time. When you take the vows and you go before God and you make this promise to one another through good, bad, sickness, through to death do us part. So you want to honor those vows as well, and want to make sure that you're doing the right things in the sight of God as well. But if those things continue to bring harm to you, I just don't recommend staying in a situation that's not just impacting yourself, it's impacting everyone around you, not just your children, your family, your friends,
Yes.
those that are on looking, they're being impacted by it as well, because they want the best for you, and they may see something that you don't see.
yes, that is
So
very
true.
often is the
Yes.
case, that we're blinded
Yes. We're
by our own
blinded by
situation.
love.
Right.
And others can see that what's going on, and our ability to accept the truth
Right.
is hindered sometime. And we know for a fact there's so many things come up, life throws at us.
Yes.
There could be financial issues, job loss, or something
Yes.
that's beyond a person's control that can happen. But ability to communicate with the people that you share your life with is so important.
Yes.
Absolutely.
The abuse is not an answer.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
Right? When you commit to someone to honor, respect, and love,
Yes.
controlling and manipulating in any way
It's wrong.
is
Awful.
completely wrong way to handle situations. So I personally, in my own situation, that saw that it becomes very difficult to communicate to the other person because other person is not willing to.
Okay.
Right. So I often hear from people in the situations that you can't talk to the other person.
Right.
So if you can't communicate and
Well,
resolve
they have
issues,
to get to that point. The person has to get to that point where they can talk to you, or reach out to
Yes.
someone. But what I wanted to say is that this generation of young women, I see that, I don't know where this has come from, but they feel that if the man is abusing them, they love them. Did you ever feel that way? If a man,
Well, in a sense, I felt like my mother felt that way. If they weren't fighting, then she thought something was wrong. So it was constant arguing, and
that was their way of
that was
expressing
their way
love.
of expressing what they thought was
Was
love
love.
when you're in the situation. So, I mean, I can say that
Well,
I've
now-
seen that with my mother.
well, I see that now with the young women today. They feel like, if the man is beating them, that's okay because he loves me.
Well, that's
and
where they have to get
Educated. That's where, yes.
Right, that's where we would come in play, and as far as Freedom Reigns House of Refuge, to help educate and bring awareness and help learn behavior.
Yes.
So
I'm glad that you put it in that way.
That's good.
Yes. So let's take a step back a little bit and see that, okay, we going through different generations and different cultures is not limited to one culture or one society or economic classes. It's across
Across the board.
the board.
Yeah.
At any part of the world, you can see any society at any level. You will see people that I know many educated women, well-off women. They take the abuse because they think it's part of being women, and that's all they have known, and they think of it being normal. Right, so it's not just a certain age or
Okay.
society. It's just the part of understanding what love means.
What love means,
Right.
yeah.
Right, what it is to honor, and I say that with caution that not every married couple is in love, or people in
Right.
relationship that is undying love. They are because they like each other. They
Right.
agree to live and partners and in domestic relation. So abuse is not limited to where people are married,
Oh, no.
but it could be in any relationship,
Yes.
whether it's control, abuse, emotional, verbal, physical threats. It comes in many forms.
Yes.
So there is a legal definition of domestic abuse, and there is a definition in our own words what abuse is, and so often we could take an argument, oh, that's normal, disagreements are normal, and I'm okay with
Yes.
that,
You're gonna have your disagreements.
people have disagreements. You are not exactly the same mindset as the other person.
Right.
So having a healthy disagreement
Yes.
and being able to communicate and know each other's perspective is fine. That's okay in your any social relations. It's okay at work relations where people come with different opinions.
Yes.
Why not in a domestic relation? Right?
Yeah.
It does not have to be his way or her way.
Exactly.
Is the only way.
Right.
So there are two different individuals, and bear in mind if there are children. So they have their own personality and their own need and their own way of thinking, and they're going to absorb a whole lot from their immediate environment.
Right.
Right. And your idea of with this freedom
Rings House of
Rings.
Refuge.
house of refuge. Freedom
Yes.
brings house of refuge.
Yes.
So it's a little long.
It's a
I'll
tongue
get used to
twister.
it. I'll get used to it. And with that, you said it's your calling, and you got a lot of support from your family and your close network
Yes.
to do what you really wanted to do. Break the cycle. Educate young people.
Yes.
I want to ask you a little bit more about what you have been doing out there, and how it's shaping up, and
Yes.
what is the exact message that you take it out.
Yes. So it's a grassroots organization. Although the vision was given to me in 2009, I'm actually going forward now. So we do have to get our 501c in place, 501c3 in place. That will definitely help with fundraising and just being able to build some funds for the organization, so we can go out to the different schools, to just within the community, and do seminars and workshops and just get the message out there. So basically, we're grassroots, we're getting started, and hitting the ground running now, so we can penetrate the community with awareness, and to be able to empower, uplift, build. And it's not just for young women and teenage girls, but it's also for young boys that will
Absolutely.
be men as well.
Yes.
Because I just believe both parties need to be educated on what to do and what not to
Definitely.
do. And that's what we're looking to do, hit the ground running and reach out to different schools or wherever the doors are open for us to get the message out there. We want to upbuild, uplift, and, again, educate the youth.
I think this is really important to teach young people, boys or girls, because in their generation, they are experiencing, unlike that our generation or previous generations have, the nuclear families and the age of internet, where they are connected more to the devices than the real people.
Yes.
And not having that human
Action.
interaction and learning the values of honoring people.
Yes.
Yes.
Right? So it becomes even more important for them to be aware of their own feelings.
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Right? So using the electronic devices, the medias, the Facebook statuses and all that, it's okay. That's the way his generation is moving forward, and I can't say it's wrong or right, but that's what it is. If I come into situations where we have the younger generation is this way, I say, well, there were hippies too.
Yeah.
So every generation has,
Yes,
has
right.
something
Every
different. So
Right.
accept
So
it
true.
as they are.
Right.
But you have to take responsibility as as grown-ups, adults, that what we can impart to them.
Yes.
Which is what you're doing.
Right.
Yes.
Right. So what exactly you're looking for from any kind of help from any organization to move forward? If are you reaching out to the schools, or are you how do you market what you're doing?
Yes, so I have reached out to some school systems, and I actually did have something in place, but that date is going to change, where we can possibly do something in February during the month of Teen Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And that way we can go into the school and actually educate, do a 2 or 3 day workshop to educate. So.
Okay.
We have to get in the door.
Yes.
And, hit the ground again, like I said, running. And as far as reaching out for resources, we have to get the 501c3 in place, which before we can get before we can get funding that we're looking for.
Yes. And
so
there's a lot of effort required.
Right.
And do you have a set of volunteers that who are helping you
Right.
with any sort of programs, role plays, and getting these volunteers together? I'm sure it's a lot of work.
it is definitely a lot of work. I do have family. I do have some friends that do support the vision and are willing to step in place for anything that I need if they're available. I have family and friends again in place to help out. I've met so many people along the way since I had started moving on the vision. So I do have support, and I'm just now doing more research to see what resources that are out there
Okay.
without the 501c3, so we can definitely go forward.
All right. So I'm sure that there would be a lot of help from your immediate
family.
Yes,
Yeah.
immediate
definitely my
families
immediate
that you are
family I
doing that
have.
right now.
Of course, I have Vanessa Martin. We also have the vice president. She's not here today. Her name is Tiffany Thomas Jones. So she's also very involved. She
Okay.
also gives a lot of input, gives advice, which way we should go, maybe which way we should not go. I do have family members that do have their degree in psychology. I have
Okay.
family members that are in case management. It's just a matter of getting the
everything
ball
together.
rolling and bringing everything
Yes.
together.
Are you getting churches involved by chance?
Well, my church definitely supports my vision. Anything that I need from the church, my pastor, Ebony Underwood, is willing to be as supportive as she can within means. They've also even supported the launch barbecue that we had back in August. She gave a generous donation from the church to help towards the vision and help towards the cause.
That's very good.
Wonderful.
Wonderful, wonderful. In terms of the challenges that you explained, that of course there's financially you can make a lot of things move faster than there are. In terms of accepting your vision or idea when you go to the schools, have you faced any challenges there that they are open to it, or how much effort you have to make to even?
Well, the one school I went to was Plainfield High School, and they have a school youth-based program, and they were very accepting. Even when I initially reached out and explained what we were looking to do as far as our organization and how we want to start in Plainfield and help the youth, that young man introduced me to Ms. Victoria Davids, and she was definitely receptive to it. She felt like it was a great idea, and she felt like it should not just be for young women, but she does a lot of co-ed things as well, and we thought that was a great idea as well. So I didn't get any rejection to it. It was very receptive and felt like it was something that's needed.
Okay, excellent, excellent. Are you aware of there is a domestic violence coalition?
Yeah.
And then they have a lot of organization. They help victims, men or women,
Yes.
of domestic violence. They serve everyone. And I was at actually their annual march last week in New Brunswick.
Okay.
So there was quite a bit participation from various organizations that serve victims of domestic violence. So it's an awareness
Right.
coalition about the domestic abuse
Yes.
and supporting the victim survivors in any way that they can.
Right.
I think that might provide some venue for you to
Yes.
reach out and spread your message, and
Yes.
maybe some other areas of the funding and for not-for-profit that might speed up some of your work effort
Yes.
before you want to take it out there. And especially with the holidays coming, I mean, it's good and then not so good because
Right.
it gives you a little bit more time from people at the same time. It's a holiday season,
Yes.
right? So quite a bit challenge there. So what do you want to achieve? What is your goal out of this? What do you see yourself to where you want to be at?
Okay, so where I actually see myself is going out, and I actually see this thing going, it can go worldwide, of going out, again, doing seminars and educating and bringing awareness and empowering and upbuilding and uplifting these young individuals. And if we change the life of one person, then I feel like the mission not so much has been complete, but we've made an impact somewhere.
Yes.
And I just see this changing the lives of the youth, that they can go out and be productive in society, not just educate them just on domestic violence, but also let them know that breaking the cycle of where they can actually be in life. They don't have to maybe be where their parents were. You always want to be better than your parents. You always want your children to do more than what you did.
Yes.
And through this will help them with their personality, their confidence, and teaching them right from wrong, and also giving them that love and support and letting them know that someone is there for them that may understand what you went through, and I can relate to you, and I'm here to encourage you, not just in this situation, but to be a pillar of society, someone that's important, that's well respected, that's well rounded, someone that wants to help other people. And that if we can help the youth even become advocates for the youth,
For the youth,
Yes.
that would be just
I feel like
awesome.
that would be so beneficial, because youth like to relate to youth.
Youth,
Absolutely.
So-
Absolutely. And I think that's a very powerful message that, they can relate to someone like them.
Yeah.
Yes.
So educating one, there's a ripple effect. There's a life outside of the abuse. And if something that they observed in their parents' life, it doesn't have to continue.
Yes.
For men or women, they don't have to repeat the same
Right.
Yes.
behavior to their spouse, partner, or for women, they don't have to accept it.
Absolutely.
Right? There are better ways to deal with the disagreements and situations.
Yes.
So this is a never-ending topic. We talk about more and more, but
Yes.
unfortunately, we have very little time.
Okay.
So I would like to ask you: is there anything that you would like to share with the viewers? What advice you would give them?
What advice I would give is, you have a choice. You don't have to stay in a situation, although I understand that it may be emotional connection and hard for you to get out, but there's resources out there, and we would like to be a resource to be able to help you, at least educate you, and provide you with the necessary resources for whenever you're ready to make a decision. But it is a choice. It's not something that you have to stay in.
Thank you so
Amen.
much.
That was
Thank you,
wonderful.
ladies, so
Thank
much
you
for
so
being here
much.
today
Thank you for
and
having
sharing your
us.
vision. It was wonderful, and I'm sure that we'll have more conversation
Yes.
and working with your organization
Yes.
and seeing you succeed.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
We're
Yes.
definitely going to do that. Thank you so much. God
Thank
bless
you.
All right. For my viewers, I want to leave you with a food for thought. A house where a woman is not safe is not a home.
No.
We have better choices out there. There's a life outside of abuse. No matter what has happened in the past, we can't change, but we can make an effort to come out of that and live the life that we deserve.
Yes.
Thank you so much for being with us. This is Despite the Challenges, and I'm host Ritu Chopra. Until next time, thank you.